Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Republicans Abroad Radio, the voice of Americans overseas, with your host, Cynthia Dillon.
Good morning. We're from Washington, D.C., and with us this morning is Pierre Toullec from France. He's the founder of Les Amis du Parti Républicain, or GOP France. Pierre Toullec is fascinated by American politics. As he explains in his blog, his interest began in September 2001, exactly 2 days before his 15th birthday, and to which, when a city in the United States, and to which a large part of his family had emigrated to, was hit in a violent attack, unimaginable at the time. His interest and passion for American politics, but especially for the Republican Party, have been demonstrated in his support of the presidential campaigns of Senators McCain and Governor Romney. A graduate of the Leadership Institute, Pierre has also political aspirations in his country and has been elected as representative to his regions, where he lives, Brest, Brittany, National Party. He maintains several websites and blogs. So it's a pleasure to have with us Pierre Toullec from France. Good morning.
Hi, Cynthia. Thanks for having me.
Well, I think I made a short introduction of what you do, having reviewed all your websites and blogs, and you've done so much for a young guy. But I also noticed that you're one of 100 authors of the book Freedom, or Free,
Libre.
Free. Right.
Indeed.
And so,
yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, so I'm 26 years old right now. I started to be interested in politics, as you said, just after September 11th in 2001. I was really young. I was not even 15 at the time. And so I really started to think about the notions of freedom. And in a way, I grew up with President Bush. I was not really good in English at that time, but I was able to look at what he was doing. During the aftermath of 9/11, the French media were kind of objective because, well, there has been a huge attack, and France was behind the U.S. at that time. And so I started to work in libertarian movements, and in 2006, I was really fed up by the way the French medias were treating the 2006 U.S. midterm elections. And so I started a simple blog to talk about what was going on really in the U.S. and explaining that the Democrats' victory at the time was really small compared to past midterm elections. And people started to like that, to follow it, and more people asked me to try to do more. And then arrived the 2008 election. France was following that really closely, and it was a really great opportunity for us. We were able to recruit people from all around France to build a team, and we had people from all around France to say that they wanted Senator McCain to win in the U.S. elections.
Now, Pierre, what you have started this group that it's called the French Friends of the Republican Party, and what are the goals? I mean, for you set up what you just explained, improving the image of the GOP and building stronger relations with France, but. Why did you see there was a need for that? I mean, especially you're young. Is it among young people, or is your group taking hold with older people as well?
Well, actually, so our goal is not to try to get American citizens living in France to vote for the GOP, because we consider that we are not U.S. citizens. We should not interfere with U.S. politics. Our goal is to explain to the French citizens, especially conservative ones, what is the GOP about, and why France also need to have a leadership coming from the Republican Party. This is really an important work because if you remember, during the 8 years President Bush was in power, we had all the time so-called conservative presidents in France. But the right-wing movements in France are so ignorant of what is going in the U.S. They are just following the main left-leaning ideas that the Republican Party are fascist, are ignorant, etc. And they have been able to explain, right-wing elected officials in France explaining that Mitt Romney was someone without culture, for example, or unable to read or stuff like that, just because they want the Republicans to be dumb in a way. So our work is to explain what the Republican Party is standing for, because we want the next time conservatives are elected both in France and the US, we want the relations to be good and France to be able to work closely with the US.
That's very well said. Very well. Now, what kind of a network do you have with your group, and how big is it, and how much? What do you expect to expand via Facebook, via the social media?
Well, we have quite a large network actually compared to what we expected, especially before the start of the 2012 campaign. At the end of the 2012 campaign, we had a network of more than 500 people on the social medias. We had 37 working for us, volunteers working for us all across France, to try to go to see the media, go to see their elected officials, explaining what Governor Romney wanted to do if he had become president of the U.S. So we are not a main organization in France, because it's France in a way, but we are getting really stronger and stronger, and we are helped a lot by awakening that is happening right now in France of the young people toward conservative ideas and values.
Well, that's very important. In fact, you're like cheerleaders of the image for the Republican Party, and that's wonderful. And I think that's very good for young people. In fact, you should get together with probably the college Republicans and the large group of organizations in the U.S. Now, I wanted to ask you something about what are your strategies? How do you work in what you call your campaigns? When you're, how is it that, because you spend I looked at your blog and you translate information, articles constantly. You're putting in, so that's a lot of work. That is a huge work if you have to translate articles, and so you have a passion for it, obviously.
Yes, indeed. Indeed, we are a lot of people really passionate by it and really following closely. Something that we should keep in mind is that one of the most passionate people in France that are sometimes working with us are the libertarians, especially people following Ron Paul and Rand Paul now. They are really passionate about those two guys, and they have been extremely active during the primary, and after the primary we have been able to a little work together, and some people of the French Ron Paul campaign even came with us at the end of the campaign. So it was really interesting to see that kind of enthusiasm coming from all the branches of the conservative movement in France. About our strategy, well, it's simple. We are all politically active in all the French political parties. That means that we cannot ask people to be all the time 100% committed to the Republican Party in France. That is not possible. So our goal is to be active during the campaigns. So we have done that for some time now, since we started in 2006. Usually what we do is a 1 or 2 month campaign for the midterms to try to get media attention, to try to wake up the social networks, as the French media are talking about the elections. It's getting far easier. And then during the presidential elections, now we have far more time and we are able to recruit teams all across France, create media tools and trying to get media attention as much as possible. And the 2012 campaign has been a real success for us on that point.
Fantastic. We have 1 minute, so it's all yours. But I wanted to ask about your personal aspirations and your plans.
Well, for my part, I don't know if I want to be really in politics as an elected official or something like that. One day, I am personally engaged in independentist movement in one of the regions of France that has been always independent but has been conquered some time ago. And my goal is that sometimes, even if it's in France, at least that we have our own parliament, exactly like any US state, where you have the federal government and then local governments. That's what I want to do and be able to achieve for my country, Britain.
For Brittany. Well, thank you very much. We've been speaking with Pierre Toullec, and he is the Chairman, President, Founder of GOP France, Les Amis du Parti Républicain. Thank you so much. Please stay with us for the next segment. You're listening to Republicans Abroad Radio on WSRadio.com, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.